How did you originally get to New York City?
I do what I always do, which is follow a lady somewhere. Most of the decisions of my life have been led by a woman.
Classic.
Very classic. Yeah, it started off when I left Kansas, where I went to high school. I followed my high school girlfriend to Minnesota, and then different woman and slightly different. I moved to Philadelphia. I moved to Philadelphia for a job, but I moved with a woman. And then I was in Philadelphia and I met my ex, Anna, when I was working at Urban Outfitters as a designer. We did a catalog together back in the day when things were printed. Yeah. And and she lived here and it was like, what am I going to do? Stay in Philadelphia, move to New York. And I moved to New York and that was 20 years ago. Yeah.
What was your impression of New York at that time? Did you have one?
I was so excited. I thought I was going to buy a BMX bike and I thought I was going to ride up and down the streets just for fun. That's what I thought I was going to do. But instead, the phones just started ringing and I just worked. I got so lucky. It was like New York just was like, hey, Mike, we're glad you're here. We want to throw a pile of cash at you to make all kinds of crazy shit. So I just started working and working and working and working and working. And then I was working in like my apartment and then actually, it was kind of fun. I did this big project for Glide, the dental floss.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it was with Saatchi and Saatchi a long time ago, pre so much stuff, like Photoshop number 5 or some shit like that. And there was an ad for this dental floss, and they commissioned me to make letters out of clay that they were going to use as like build up in between teeth. And so the campaign was these crispy white foam letters with these yellow clay words stuck in between the gaps of the type. And when the project was over, the art producer was like, do you want all these letters? And I was like, sure. So all of a sudden one day a messenger showed up with like 6 boxes, like fucking huge boxes of these white foam letters that were each probably like, let's say like 18 inches by 6 inches. And I hid them all over my apartment because there was too many, but I felt compelled to keep them. And one day I like was opening like an up high cupboard and I opened it up and all these letters just fell on top of me.
Oh, Jesus.
And they're foam, so it didn't hurt.
Okay.
But they fell and it was like, that was the moment where it was like, okay, time to get a studio. So then I moved into the studio and did that forever. And now I'm in a new phase. Yeah.
You said when you got here, the city welcomed you. Mike, it's nice for you to be here. And started throwing cash your way.
Yeah.
What kind of opportunities were those and how did you create them?
I don't know. It was pre-social media. I don't know how it worked. I mean, actually, in a way, I did know how it worked because things were simpler back then. I had a good reputation. I had just made this book called Hand Job that came out, I think, in like 2004 or 5, and it was like kind of a big hit. It was about hand-drawn typography. It was published by Princeton Architectural Press, got a lot of press. It was actually fun. There was a hot second where if you Googled the word hand job, like I was above the fold, like, which seems impossible because, the internet. So that was helpful. And I don't know, I just was young and vivacious and had a bunch of energy. And I don't know, I wish I knew. Yeah. I wish I could tell you the secret, but it just started working, and then the momentum just kept going, and projects kept coming, and I just took advantage of every opportunity that I could, and I just did everything. Yeah.
To back up before New York and before Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Growing up, were you into the arts? Was that a big part of your childhood, your upbringing?
Yeah, I grew up in Missouri. Yeah. In a town called Independence, Missouri, which is
where Truman's from.
Yeah. Well done. Yeah. Our ex-president, Harry Truman, who dropped the bomb. Independence was a strange place to grow up. And it's funny because I used to answer this question being like, no one in my family was creative, but what I've really learned in the last 44 years of my life is that everybody in my family is creative. And I think I was just a little focused and like I'm the one who's doing it. But like everybody, like my mother's father was a painter. I have a cousin who's like a cop, and he's a painter. It's amazing. He's like such a serious looking like police officer, and yet he goes and paints barns. He's like these epic oil paintings of barns. His father is a painter. I have like on my other side of the family, like tons of artists, like craftspeople. My grandmother was a crafter, like huge craft workshop. And so I was always surrounded by art in general. Like when I was like 12 and I asked my mom, "Hey mom, can I paint a mural in my bedroom?" I never really understood why she said yes until much later, which was like, yeah, like her father painted murals in their house. And so when her son, me, asked to paint a mural, the answer was like, well, of course you do this. You're safe and surrounded by people that love and respect art. And even though it wasn't their career path or how they made a profit for their lives, it was like just a deep passion that just ran. My great grandmother was a painter, like olden days, like fucking like snow sleds and trees and landscapes. Yeah, it's wild. So yeah. And so I've been drawing since I was 4 years old, nonstop. It's actually the only thing I'm good at. Like I have some other things that I'm okay at, but like it was the thing I was terrible in school. So like I was like, this is the thing I can really focus on because I'm really good at it. And that kind of led the way.
You were terrible in school.
Yeah, terrible.
Just academically. The arts just came naturally to you. And and the rest of school was.
I'm super dyslexic.
Painful. Interesting.
So that made school challenging. I always actually felt like an idiot for most of my childhood. And then I realized, maybe 10 years ago that I'm kind of a whip. So my brain just doesn't work like standardized testing would ask for it to. So
the experience of that for yourself, for people who are dyslexic, that's mostly around reading.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? What was the experience like?
Well, reading is challenging. And it's actually interesting because like words just move, like they just like, and actually words are just shapes.
Yeah.
Like letters are just like shapes, not letters for the most part. So it's just through the pure will of memorization and like trying to stay on top of it to like understand that like, an A is an A and not just a pyramid with a line crossed through it, It's like so like that stuff was really challenging when you're young because first off, it was also like the 80s. And so in, Independence, Missouri, not a big, not an educational system with a big proponent for helping students to overcome their kind of learning disabilities. Yeah. So instead it was just kind of ignored and be like, oh, Mike's kind of an idiot. So that was a bummer, but honestly, like, the more I learn about my brain and the more I learn about dyslexia and the more I learn about the history of education in the world, like, I'm like, I think we should celebrate it. Like basically industrial education, like people with dyslexia were like equal parts of society. And then all of a sudden education came and was like, we have to standardize this. This is the way you do it. And it kind of just pushed all these people out of the system. And those are people that are really good at like thinking abstractly or using their hands to solve problems. Or like, I think like I'm a really good problem solver, but the way that I come to these solutions is not neurotypical. It's very abstract. Or like how I take notes, my note-taking process is fucking crazy. But like I look at it and I'm like, works for me. Yeah. So everything is just figuring out how to use for me, the skills and assets that I have to prosper, like that's kind of my MO.
I don't know how much you've researched it, but does it seem like dyslexia, there's a correlation between people who have dyslexia and people who are wildly creative?
A lot of just neurodivergencies end up kind of siding with creativity. So I'm not totally sure how on the scale of dyslexia, but it seems kind of logical. I mean, it's kind of visual thinkers. Like you're not like even for me, like reading a book is still challenging, even though I can do it. But like I can listen to a book and take the whole thing in, like no problem. It's like overcoming the like. I mean, it's funny because I went to study graphic design, which is like a strange thing for like someone who's not good with words to spend time on. And I learned about rivers. You know about rivers?
Tell me.
Rivers is like when someone sets a block of text, like, and there's just a weird, strange gap that you can kind of just float through it if you're not careful. I remember just as a kid trying to read a book and being like, wow, that's a big river. I'm just going to like, I'm going to float down that for a while. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, did I read that page? Nah. Like I just went on this weird journey with just the shapes and the symbols. So yeah.
Did you get the sense growing up? It sounds like your parents were encouraging of your artistic interest. That despite the neurodivergence, that there was almost an encouragement or an appreciation for the talent that you did have. That it didn't deflate you.
Yeah, no, very supportive. Everyone's very supportive. I mean, you know, I think I did get a lot of like, I mean, there's not in like kind of Midwestern standards. There's not like a lot of great examples of successful artists out there. You know, there are like, but it's not like, I don't know, you're New York City. You don't like, there's not like galleries everywhere where people are like having careers and doing that stuff. So, I mean, I did get a lot of like, oh, you're going to be a tattoo artist when you grow up, or like Hallmark Cards is based in Kansas City. So I got a lot of like, oh, you're going to go work at Hallmark when you do grow up, like, which I was always like, fuck you. I'm not doing either of those things. I'm getting the fuck out of here as soon as I can. So yeah.
Did you have a sense even in high school that this was your path, that art, drawing, no doubt. That's where you were going.
Yeah. It's even before, I mean, I think I knew I wanted to be an artist as soon as I understood that was a thing.
Did you have some clarity from a pretty early age as to what that might look like, or you just knew generally that was where you were heading?
I did not have a clear idea what it looked like. I knew, I mean, there's some kind of like cultural reference points of artists, that you read about or see, or, that are fantastical, like, you watch some documentary about Picasso or some shit like that, and you're like, oh, that looks fun. But I just knew that this is what I like to do, and I am good at it, and it's how I process the world. Like I really, the images that I make are like artifacts of my time on this earth. And like, I don't think I have any other option but to make them no matter what. So, and one of the things I like about that as an idea is that there's a lot of fucking humans on the planet. And I look at my job and my career and my passion as, I get to be a vessel for sharing some of these ideas and things that I have the ability to process, because I have this luxury of time, this luxury of headspace to really go deep into some of the kind of psychological, like existential kind of philosophical questions and challenges that I see in myself and in the world. And when I say there's a lot of fucking humans out there, like not everyone's going to be into it. And that's awesome. Yeah. But there's a lot of people. And if I can just catch, like, let's say I caught 1% of the human population, that would be unfucking believable. I'm not even close to that. Yeah. And you don't even need that many. You need like 0.01% of the population to connect with what you do, to have any kind of a dynamic relationship with your work and with your output. And then I've just been so blessed over the years of like hearing people talk about what things I make mean to them. And it's like planting flowers or planting trees. Like every time someone says that, it's like, oh, I am doing this. This is important. This is what I'm doing. Like I have someone who's collected my work for a long time, and she just like always talks about, she's got one piece that she sees. She's like, it's the first thing I see every morning, and how it changes her days when knowing that that's there, and she sees it, and she's just like, it brightens me up. It puts me in this clear headspace that just settles me, and I'm so grateful for it. And I'm like, wow, flattery. Yeah. Like I'm just like, man, fuck yes, thank you. So
some great reinforcement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you said you knew you wanted to get the fuck out of Independence.
Oh yeah.
Where did you go after high school?
I mean, I went to Minneapolis. I went to college at the Minneapolis College of Art and Design. Art school was the fucking best thing in the world. If I could have started art school at 3, I would have. Anyone who is not good at regular school and is creative should go to art school. It is the most fun. It was wild. Yeah. I went to study painting. And I wanted to be a painter, but I got into this school and I was in this painting program and I thought to myself, like, I already kind of know a lot of this stuff. I'm like spending all this money and energy to be here. I should kind of like open my mind. So, went into interactive multimedia. And I was really excited about that because I was like my first time using a computer to kind of like make things. But then my brain was like, I don't know if this whole programming language thing is going to work for you. So I fell into graphic design, and I was really blessed to have incredible teachers. And graphic design was actually taught to me not as a job. It was a way of, as a philosophy, as a way of thinking. It's about confronting a problem and solving it. And I'm like, fuck, that's what I do all the time. And graphic design and that philosophy embedded itself into me. And that's how I've made a career. It's like someone calls me and they say, Mike, I need this. And I'm like, let my brain loose, go wild, and I will come up with a solution, present it to them, and put it into the world. And that's how I do my paintings. That's how I do my illustrations. That's how I do my Instagram posts. I don't know, like whatever. Everything I do is like, what is this problem I'm trying to solve? And how do I do it? And so graphic design changed my life. Yeah.
So is it true that in school, the emphasis became, at least for your future, your immediate future, less about painting and more about graphic design? That's what you were planning to do, wanted to do?
Oh yeah. It was not about painting at all. I mean, I wanted to be a painter and I was always painting. But I also was a poor kid from Independence, Missouri. So I was like, I want to make some fucking money. If I can make some money doing this, then let's do it. And so I found my way into design. And my first job after college was at Urban Outfitters. It was like kind of my dream job. Like I was like, oh, if I could work anywhere in the world, what would it be? And then I scored that as my first job. And that was massive because Urban in the early 2000s was this like mecca for creativity, and like the bosses were great. I had a direct boss, this guy Jim Datz, who was amazing, and then a kind of a bigger boss, this guy Kevin Lyons, who's a fucking legend in the industry. And then the boss was, her name was Sue Otto, and she's one of the most eccentrically, wildly fun, creative people in the world. Just totally wild. And I had them as mentors, and they helped me launch me into the world. And then when I moved to New York, like I said, I thought I was just going to be a bum and ride my bike and do whatever. And then the phone started ringing. So yeah, and it's kind of never stopped, which is a fucking gift.
What did you learn working at Urban Outfitter? What stays with you?
Oh my God. I loved it. I would be in these meetings and I would be the youngest person in the room. And I was like, I'm going to just talk now. And I did. And it was awesome because people listened to it. And it was like, definitely probably a little bit of like a, arrogant, young lad, just in the room, but it was fun. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I'm seeing behind the curtain. This is like everyone, what we see on the street is the facade, and to be in the room behind the room where the decisions are being made was so interesting. And it actually helped my career so much because once I started like freelancing and taking on projects, I would, instead of being like, well, what are they doing back there? Like, what's the decision process? Like, why did they hate this work, or why do they love it? Like, why do they have these changes? I was like, oh, I was in the room where I saw some of that happen. So it was great to have that kind of practical experience. I mean, there was a point where there was a catalog that I did at Urban where there was like some regime change in the office, and like there was some like battles between the bosses, and I did this huge amount of work, and then a new person showed up and basically like shit on all of the work, and it had nothing to do with the work. It had only to do with in politics.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I'm so glad that I could see the politics play out in front of me and know that it's not about the work and know that it's just that. And so now, I mean, honestly, I have a really great philosophy, especially now, is like when someone wants me to change something or they don't like someone not vibing it, like I'm always like, fine, I get it. Like, who the fuck knows what's going on behind the scenes? And that was like a huge gift to get like in my early 20s. Come on. Crazy.
Did Urban have a prevailing graphic design philosophy that they were trying to abide by?
It was just things made by hand, handmade things. And actually it was really cool. When I got hired, it was at the launch of their website. And
crazy.
It was at the point where they didn't think that the website was going to make them any money.
Right.
They thought it was like, oh, we got to do this. It's like a thing you do, you know? And so it was actually wild. No one really cared what we did. There was an iteration of the website where almost every piece of text was my handwriting, like including the product names, like 1999, like all that shit. I just like wrote it and wrote it in pencil on a piece of paper, scanned it with an old fashioned scanner, cleaned it up in Photoshop, and then became like the type on the website. It was crazy. So it was a pretty fun, like, just strange moment in history that was gone pretty quickly.
How did that company become such a bastion for creatives, for creative types?
They never spent money on advertising. They only spent money on creative. So all of the money that they would spend putting into the world, they would do activations. They would make the store cool. They would have events. They like put out mix CDs. Like it was just, the whole thing was never about selling the world what it was. It was about showing the world what it was. So it's pretty good business model.
And before you worked there, you knew that this is a place that like actually takes creative people and artists seriously and honors that.
Yeah, I did. It was like in the DNA of art school. Like, no, I mean, I had a professor who had worked there, so that was helpful. So I mean, also helped me, little nepotism helped me get get the job. I mean, the real story about the job is awesome. There's this in Minneapolis, there is this great museum. It's called the Walker Art Museum. It's a very contemporary, it's fucking awesome. And every year they hire 2 interns to like come work, and it's a huge deal. And if you're in Minneapolis, it's like, oh, the thing you got to do. So I applied for it. I was definitely not like the right person for it. It's very, very, very designery, like a little bit too much for me. But in my rejection letter, this guy, Andrew Blavelt, who's like also a legend, like curator, he was like, you should work at Urban Outfitters. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. So in my rejection letter from this thing, I followed up, and it was even better. This one's for all the kids trying to get jobs. I mailed a physical portfolio to Urban.
Wow.
Like a box. But I was so nervous about doing it that I never followed up. And so the box just sat there in a closet. And then one day, this guy, Jim Datz, who I mentioned, he was like, I need to hire somebody. He was in this other art department. There's like the direct, which is retail, which is like online catalog, that kind of stuff. And then there was the retail art department. And Jim was building the direct department. He walks into the retail department and he's like, do you guys have any portfolios here? And they're like, oh, there's a box over there. And like, he goes and opened the box, and he described it. It was like, he was like, I opened a present from like a Christmas present. And yeah. And so that's how I got the job. Yeah.
Did you know from Urban's work, as somebody who is an aspiring graphic designer, that their graphic design work specifically was of high quality?
Yeah. You can see it.
How can you tell that?
I don't know. It just spoke to me. Like like the use of color. I mean, there was this guy who worked there. I don't know if Andy still works there. Andy Beach. Andy Beach is a legend. He's just like one of the most epic typographers to me. Like he's just clever and funny and precise and weird. And like when I saw his stuff, I was like, oh, I want to do that. Like it was just kind of aspirational for me. So yeah,
a taste that you recognize as being of high quality?
Yeah, it's just a taste, like just a personal preference. Like, you know, like I'm sure plenty of people want to, you know, we're into like the Banana Republic or whatever, you know, like that they're like super into Helvetica or I don't know, whatever. And I was like, I like fluorescent green, I don't know, and like weird hand-drawn typography. So it spoke to me. I mean, it was like that. I mean, that whole hand-drawn typography was like gateway to my career also. Like I did this book called Hand Job, which I mentioned, which was just about hand-drawn type, which was like this old new phenomenon. Like people have been drawing type for fucking ever. Yeah. It's like ever and ever. But there was a moment in the early aughts that was like, that's kind of sexy. Let's bring that back. Because everything was so digital. Like it was kind of coming on the backs of Illustrator. Like vector. And then all of a sudden like, oh, there's room for hand-drawn shit. And that's where I was. And so that's kind of what built my career, was this kind of like rebellion against the vectorization of everything. And right time, right place, like wild. Yeah.
Tell me about New York when you got here. This is 2000.
It's like 2004.
What was the city like then?
It was less of a mall. It was, I don't know, it was so young and it was so fun. We just, I don't know, what did we, I don't even know what I did. It was just wild. It was just kind of free. Like there was no Uber, there was no social media. You get into a black cab and it would like, you kind of like put your life in their hands. I remember once like we were in a cab going somewhere and the cabbie was like, I'm just going to stop for a while. And dude just stopped and like went in and got like a sandwich and then ate it in the place. And you're like, should we get out and leave? But like, there's no other cars and you're in the middle of nowhere. I don't know, just stuff like that. It felt like full of opportunity. It wasn't, there was no tech. It was before Google headquartered here, before Facebook, all that shit. So it was, I mean, there was none of that tech energy. I mean, I remember when Michael Bloomberg made this declaration, like we are bringing technology to New York City. And I mean, we live in that future now. Like it's like for good or bad, you know. It was a little bit dirtier. Like, I don't mean physically, I just mean like spiritually, like a little bit, you could be a little bit more of a dirtbag. I mean, it seems like I have friends that have lived here for 50 years and like, it seems like every year you go back, it's like less commercial and more dirty, you know? I mean, there's a mallification of the city that's very real. I mean, Williamsburg, where we're at right now, was like, I mean, this was like fucking dirt yard. Yeah. So now we're on the 26th floor. So yeah, it's wild.
The work that you got was all initially graphic design work, and
actually mostly illustration.
Okay.
So like part of my design education was to celebrate the fact that I knew how to draw. It was like an asset that I had, that I, like, instead of having to like go find clip art to make my graphics, I would be like, I'm going to just do a drawing of this thing. And so illustration just kind of naturally found its way into my life. And then I had this really good friend, or have this really good friend. Her name's Emily Anderson. She graduated around the same time as I did, and she got a job at Dwell magazine back in the day. And she hired me to do some illustration. Those were my first big illustration projects. And they were like real projects, like 10-page stories. And that really helped put me on the map. I mean, so much of every creative industry is about relationships and connections. And so like, you know, Emily's still she's basically one of my best friends. I actually recently decided that she's no longer my friend. She's just my sister. Like, we've known each other for 25 years. It's like, we are fucking tight, and this is what's happening. And illustration was the thing. I mean, it was also editorial was a real industry. Like you could, I mean, this is fucked. I'm just going to say it. Like, I just did a piece for the New York Times, maybe like 2 months ago. And I did the exact same piece for them in like 2006, like literally the same piece. And the budget is less now than it was then. And they wanted it animated versus a still. And, you know, it's fine. I did it. It's lovely. It's a fun piece. It's like fun to do. New York Times is great. But like, you could actually make a living off of doing editorial back then. Like you could do like 3-4 illustrations, and my overhead was pretty low. Yeah. And I could just like coast off that. And then you throw some advertising in there and you're just like, oh shit, you want to throw me a shitload of money? Like, let's do it. So that's kind of what I did.
This is, as you mentioned, this is before social media.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you didn't have a personal website.
Oh yeah.
When you first got it.
Oh yeah. I had a website.
When you first got here, you did?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
My first website in history was, I was living in the UK. I did an internship. It was theblondeamericankid.co.uk. That was my first website. It's pretty terrible. I think it's on the Wayback Machine. So if anyone wants to look at it. And then my next website was midwestisbest.com. And that one crushed for a while. And then it is like an early kind of career decision. I was like, I think it's really important that my name is in this and I'm not like some weird random slogan. So I dropped Midwest is Best and I went to Mike Perry, and Studio was this kind of a remnants of Design World where I was like, I really wanted to have a studio, whatever that meant. And I did that. And it was amazing. I mean, I did 15 years of like me and other people building a team, all that stuff. And so the studio was a huge part of it. But yeah, so I've had a website since 99, 2000, something like that. Yeah.
Is that where most of the opportunities have come from, or is it more the relationships like you were talking about?
The internet was really, it was so small back then. So there was a real, it was kind of, it was super wild. There's all these like design blogs and forums that were kind of the entry point to social media, right? Like there was this website called Design is Kinky that was hugely popular. It was like, I think it was based in Australia, but it was like this curated, like beautiful pile of design shit. And you could just write them and say, hey, like check out my website. And then they would like maybe post you on there. But there were so few places like that if you got posted on that, then people would feed that and see it. And then you could like get bookmarked, whatever they do, whatever they did. So that was huge. And then I also just immediately started building like my contact list, like, which is still a huge part of my life today. Like these relationships that I've developed are everything. And I like stay in touch and I meet new people and I add it to it. It's like this whole thing. And my relationship with social media is fine, I guess. I'm not like really interested in it, even though I know I should be. But like, because I've built this like network of relationships that kind of get to have a little bit of a loophole where I kind of get around it, Actually, I had this client, I did this work for this brand, Folks Beer, like a local Red Hook beer company. I don't know, maybe they still exist. I don't remember. And I remember meeting with the owner and I loved this. I was like, so what's your plan? Are you going to try to go like, are you going to try to like go nationwide with your beer? And he was like, Mike, there's like 11 million people here. Like if I can sell just to a few of them, I'm going to be fine. And I'm like, oh, I love that idea. Like you don't need to reach everybody. You just need to have your, X amount of people that can keep you floating or keep you engaged or collect your work that are really invested in you. Like you can make it work off that. At least I can so far.
Did you find over time, as you had many opportunities over the years and you maybe could get a little bit more picky about what you were doing?
Oh yeah.
That you had a preference for a certain type of work that you've been able to carve out in your
I want to do the work where they let me do whatever I want. I mean, that's the root. And I mean, luckily at this point, that's basically what I do. I mean, I've been working with Hermes for 5 years, I guess 6 years now. And it was so fun. Like the first project I did was this, like the first big project I did, we threw this like $15 million party. And it was like a musical and it was massive. It was like crazy. I worked on it for like 8 months. And I remember like, I kept like looking for someone to like approve everything. I was like, and then one day I was like, oh, I'm the person to approve it. That's helpful. And I'm like, congratulations, Mike. You did it. You're like literally the beginning, the middle, and the end of the process. So yeah, it's pretty good.
So now at this point in your career, what is it really only those sort of opportunities that come your way that you will consider where you have full artistic control?
I mean, yeah. I have no interest in like anyone art directing me. I mean, I like art directors. I like people with really good ideas. And I think when someone shows up with a brief that is like inspiring and exciting, like I am down. I love collaborating. Collaboration is the most fun. Like that big party, the Hermes party, that was the most fun collaboration. Like I work with the set designers, I work with the fashion stylists, I work with the media team, I work with the PR team, I work all that stuff. And if everyone shows up and is fucking smart as a whip and you are a part of that team, only epic shit can happen. What the problem is that a lot of people are really a lot of people lack confidence in what they do. And with those people, when they show up and they're like, oh, I'm in charge, but I'm a little nervous. I don't have the buy-in of my boss or their boss or whatever. That's when shit gets complicated, because you need like someone with a vision and like a clear goal or desire to get the outcome that you want. And when you show up with that kind of clarity, you hire people that you trust. And when you hire people you trust, like good shit happens, because you're not standing over their shoulder watching you, like being like, you're doing this wrong. No, if I'm doing it wrong, you should fire me and hire the right person, because that's how good shit happens. That's my philosophy.
I know it's a different time now than it was when you first moved here almost 20 years ago, a little more than 20 years ago, I guess. But what advice would you have for young artists now? I mean, if a young you came to New York now, how do you think the world has changed, and how might you design or craft advice given the new
Honestly,
landscape?
I get asked this question all the time, and I have no idea. I really, nothing makes any sense anymore. I feel nervous. I mean, what I would say is like, just celebrate what you're good at. I mean, I think that seems to be the key. Like, but I honestly, I don't know how it works. I'm more confused than ever. The AI thing is complicated. Like, I think the reality is like, especially to be a commercial artist, like you need people to want to spend money on making beautiful things in order to get that work. Like, and if a company is like, well, I could, hire a human and spend like, $20,000, or I could just like pay a robot to do it in like 5 minutes and pay like $5. Like that's a corporate decision that affects the entire trickle down economy. And I don't know what we do about that. I mean, that's almost like you have to re-educate everybody to understand that like the value of creativity in the world is like actually valuable. It's not just some commodity that you throw away. So that's like a bigger problem, societal problem.
Do you tend to feel like you slipped into this like a prosperous time just before the door closed?
Yeah, I mean, I had 20 years of door open, and the door, so I feel very grateful. But like, I have a friend who's a photographer, like a really successful photographer in the like 80s and 90s, and shot like all of this crazy like every record cover from the 80s and 90s that you think is amazing. He shot it, shit like that. Wow. Like, and he tells stories and he's like, oh my God, you think you were doing good? He's like, I shot this thing and they paid me like $300,000 to do this thing. And I'm like, yeah, well, good for you. Good for you. So I don't know. I who knows? I think there is some societal damage and challenges that's happening to the creative world that is a little bit concerning. That to be honest, my response is to go even deeper into human connection.
Yeah.
One of the things I did in Athens that I rented a gallery. Like I'm just going to I'm opening a gallery. Surprise everybody. Opening a gallery. Cause like, I just like, instead of like, I don't want to be on my computer ever. I want to be in the world. I want to be talking to humans. I want to be using my hands. I think that's what we need more of, to be honest, like less social media, less fucking VR shit. I don't know, whatever people are into. Like people need to make eye contact and they need to like see that you're real. And I think if we can do that, then there's all kinds of opportunities for creative and growth in the world. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Are some of your most famous opportunities or favorite opportunities that come your way commissioning pieces for people? What would be an ideal artistic opportunity for you at this point in your career?
Oh, I love a commission. Like someone who just was like, "Oh, I want a big painting of something." Yeah, that's the best. I mean, I honestly like things that are really hard. I want to push my brain. I want to do things like I did a TV pilot for Comedy Central a couple years ago, and the show didn't get picked up, and it felt like, there were moments where I felt like, oh man, I wasted a year of my life like just doing this whole thing. But man, I learned so much. It was amazing. I used to be intimidated to make like a 30-second animation. Like that was, oh my God, 30 seconds. God, that's fucking crazy. And then all of a sudden you do 22 minutes and you're like, 30 seconds. I got this. No big deal. That kind of shit is really important to me. And I think one of the things that I really rely on and land on as often as possible is like how you can't just sit back and wait for shit to happen. You have to make the stuff that you want to happen. And so, like, for instance, I'm in the middle of a deal with HBO to like to write a TV pilot that my friend Jim Stoughton and I have been working on for 15 years. 15 years of sweat equity that we put into this project, and worked, and it died, and then it brought it back to life, and it died again, and brought it back to life. And like that, the opportunity that is being presented to me right now because of this project is really exciting and really rich and full of potential, but it's only because I made it happen and I stuck with it and had the persistence and desire to see it happen at all. So like, I think maybe even going back to the question about like what kind of advice you would give to a young person is like, what do you want to do? And like figure out how to follow through. And remember, it's going to take fucking forever. And that's okay.
I'm always interested in when I meet artists to learn about their habits. And some people I think are very regimented and others aren't. In your career, do you have a general structure to your day that has worked very well for you in terms of when you are creating?
Sure.
Do you think pretty deeply and intentionally about how you design a day to be the best artist you can be? I'd love to hear about how you thought about that.
I used to. I was pretty fucking hardcore for years and years, probably like 15 years, where I was waking up at like 4:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And like just grinding. Like,
so what would that day look like?
Oh, I'd wake up, I would make myself an espresso, I would take a shit, I'd walk to the studio, I would get stoned, I'd rip a big fucking joint and drink more coffee, and I would just be in the zone. I had employees at the time, and they would show up at 10. So I would get ripped out of my mind and have this like basically 5 hours of just like mic time, where I would just do whatever I wanted. I would listen to music so goddamn loud. Like my whole building, I was like, first off, most artists stay up late. And so I was like the guy that would be there early. So I could turn it all the way up. And I would just jam. And I did that. And then people would come in and I'd start my day, do a bunch of calls and, do whatever meetings and shit. And then kind of wind it down. And then I had this great guy that worked with me, this guy named Jay Bell, and Jay was the fucking best. And we would get stoned at 4:20. And then I would get another buzz and kind of roll for a couple more hours. And then I would go home and make dinner and go to bed at 8:00. And then I'd start over again every day, even weekends. I mean, the weekends I would sleep until like 6, because I would party, be hungover.
Did that feel like the dream? Like you were on the path that you had wanted to?
Oh yeah. I was living the dream. I was exhausted and I didn't realize how tired I was, but I was also, I was young. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like more power to you. If you have the energy to just grind like that, awesome. I mean, what I love about my life now is that I'm like grinding in my brain and in my social life. I was home visiting my mom, and my mom was like, "What are you working on?" And I was like, "I'm working on myself." the greatest project. Just working on myself. So I'm in an incredibly fun, strange phase of life where I am just excited about just moving slow, thinking deeply, drawing in my sketchbook, making decisions that are maybe not the best, but who cares? And kind of just saying a little bit of a fuck it. So yeah. So my routine is very different right now, but I did that grind for a long time. It was rough and fun.
This is a good transition to the final question I like to ask artists, which is about how they think about success. And we were talking before we started recording a little bit about some of these subjects and just in life. If we were to meet in a few years, what does a successful life, especially a professional life, look like for you? And I think I probably already know the answer because you seem to have already achieved a lot of that. But I'd love to hear how you think about success.
What I've learned is that success is having control over time.
Love that.
Yeah. So I have pretty much complete control over my time, and time is the most valuable commodity. So that's where I'm at.
Have you always felt that way?
No.
That was what's okay.
No. I mean, I think it's helpful to say to define success as that when you have had some financial success. Yeah. Like it's much easier to be like, oh, time is the best commodity because I have a bank account with a bunch of money in it. So it's makes it easier. But it feels very valuable right now. And also you can see it when people are exhausted, you ask why. It's like, because they don't have ownership of their time. And I'm very blessed in the fact that what did I do today? Did whatever I wanted. Now I'm sitting on this couch with you recording a podcast. It's like, sure, I'm sitting like cross-legged and like just so goddamn cozy. So goal achieved.
Yeah.
So
I think this might be self-evident to people, but what is it about, having not had that for a large part of your life and now having it, what does control over your time afford you?
I mean, it means I could get on an airplane and go anywhere I wanted to tomorrow. Or I could, if I got sick and had the flu, I could just lay in bed and just be like, oh, I'm sick today. This is great. I'm just going to roll with it. Bummer. Or I can there's this sexy lady that I'm hanging out with. I want to cook her a dinner that's going to take me 5 hours to make. I'm just going to do that. Or I want to go for a really long walk right now and just listen to a record. Or, it's all the things that we just try to jam into our normal life into like small increments. It's kind of like, wow, I can just do that, I guess. It's a head fuck. Also, like, there's a lot of hours in the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, wow, Mike, what are you doing? It's like, really? Are you bored? I'm like, yeah, I'm bored. Fuck yeah. Like, boredom is wild and fun and not something that we have access to. I'm pro boredom. Pro. So I have a sauna in my house in upstate.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then so I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of bored. I guess I'm just going to go sit in the sauna and be bored for a couple hours, or not a couple hours, like 45 minutes. Lovely.
Yeah.
And my brain gets to recharge and relax, and like, it's fun. Like what my brain is doing now. It's really fun to reflect on it. Like, oh, interesting. You got all this space to fill. How are you going to fill it? And it's filling it with like quite interesting things to me. At least I find them interesting.
Mike, thanks for doing this.
Dude.
Great to meet you.
Such a pleasure.
Likewise.
So much fun.